I'm going to say some hard things about this place, not because I don't like Seattle, but because I love it. And I'm going to start by saying this. Seattle no longer feels the need to stop anyone from doing anything for any reason at any time. The most stunning city in America is dying, all right. Businesses and citizens have been largely abandoned, left to fend for themselves in favor of a self-congratulatory compassion, a phony grace. If you shout long enough, Seattle will give you what you want. We'll abandon a police precinct, an entire chunk of the city, and all the people that live and work there. All of it is yours for the taking if you shout long enough. If you want to live somewhere, anywhere, and if you want to pile up garbage and waste and filth, you can do that too. Parks, street corners, neighborhood nooks and crannies, have at it. You think Seattle's going to stop you? We'll even do away with the navigation team, just to make sure. Feeling artistic? You're in luck. Seattle is your canvas. Have at it. Express yourself. Nobody's going to stop you from leaving temporary scars on the psyche of a damaged city. They're too busy reimagining. If you want to keep using the drugs that are killing you, we'll help out. We'll give you needles. We'll order the cops not to make arrests. We'll legalize hard narcotics on our streets. We will stand by and watch as you kill yourself, because Seattle no longer feels the need to stop anyone from doing anything for any reason. And if you want to go out into the communities and businesses, stealing all day long to get the drugs that are killing you, we won't stop you, or rehabilitate you, or intervene in any meaningful way. And when the citizens demand protection and the businesses say who's looking out for us, we'll shut down the county jail and the juvenile detention center because we're so forward-thinking. We'll run the chief of police out of town and hope that bad people stop doing bad things because we're so very good. We'll stop prosecuting criminal behavior. Heck, we won't even file charges so it doesn't show up in the crime stats. We'll handcuff the police and beat down the judges who step out of line. If you want to intimidate the leaders who voice objections, who's going to stop you? Seattle? Come on. We'll doggedly plow ahead with a reckless experiment that is systematically ruining what used to be the best place to live in America. And that, all of it, is at the very heart of the fight for the soul of Seattle. The fact that we no longer feel the need to stop anyone from doing anything for any reason at any time.
It was the perfect place as far as I was concerned. I just thought no place could be greater.
He moved here in 1983, and like so many, he loved Seattle, really loved it. He opened up a bike shop, and it grew and grew. But things changed. Seattle changed. And now Brian Nordwall says things like this.
It's a tragedy. It's literally a tragedy. This place had it all, and it's letting it go.
And this.
The core of Seattle has become a hellhole. It bears no resemblance to the city I moved to in 1982.
30 times in a year they tried to break into his business. 3 times they succeeded. Look at them smash the windows, smash one man's dream. Look at them take what they want, like it's their shop, their city. And it's hard to argue these days. Sometimes they break just to be breaking, just out of meanness.
5 days in a row, we lost every window on this side.
The last time at least someone had the heart to tell him the truth.
3 officers came by shortly after the last big break-in and said, under the policies that we have to work with now, we can't protect your store.
So it should come as no surprise when a man who loved his city and built his dream here becomes jaded.
Downtown Seattle is Tombstone, Arizona. There is no law and order. There is no civil authority. And Seattle at this point has committed civilizational suicide, literally.
And so Seattle e-bikes is packed up and loaded up, and Brian Nordwall's dream is put on a truck.
So my heart is kind of permanently broken, but I'm kind of past, I'm leaving here, I'm moving on.
Somebody should explain to Brian Nordwall how exactly this revolution is supposed to work. Listen closely. Listen to what the people of Seattle are saying, the people who live here and work here and raise their families here. Beneath the anger and frustration is a sadness, because they remember what Seattle was, and they've watched it devolve in a fundamental and chilling way.
I stand before you today to express that I do not feel safe in the city in which I live in.
We are losing hope. We're losing hope for the future of our city.
Can't you all see the suffering associated with lawlessness? This is not compassion.
I'm against having guns, but I feel like I need to get one to protect myself. Who's going to protect me?
There's so much crime here. It's just, it's unbearable. It's almost like we're under siege.
If we're taking a hands-off approach and the police are taking a hands-off approach, then the only people who have hands on anything is the criminals on our stuff.
I have been screamed at, yelled at, spat on, grabbed, followed, just about everything that you can imagine. And that's my front yard. That's where I live. This is my home.
It makes me want to move away. I've lived in Seattle for 20 years now.
On a daily basis, I don't feel safe at all.
Just accumulating to the point where it's gotten out of control. It's not right. I'm trying to run a business here.
I mean, anything you need that's illegal is downtown right now.
They're tearing our city apart. I mean, look at it. It looks terrible. It's horrible.
The city council has been a total joke.
This has nothing to do with politics. This just has to do with the survival of our city.
Many years ago, the city attorney in Seattle was this man, Mark Sidran, a lifelong Democrat. He believed in maintaining social order. That's him now, looking at the city he was raised in, the city that he served. Back in 1993, though, he looked into a crystal ball and he saw the future. And then he stood up in front of the Rotary Club one day that summer and issued a chilling warning.
We Seattleites have this anxiety, this nagging suspicion that despite the mountains and the sound and smugness about all our advantages, maybe, just maybe, we are pretty much like those other big American cities. Back east, as we used to say when I was a kid. I think that's one reason why the increasing disorder on our streets touches a nerve for so many. If the past is prologue, we have seen one version of the future in city after city. A dying retail core where there is more criminal than commercial activity, where the simplest rules of civility are ignored without consequence, where random, senseless acts of violence become pervasive, culminating in the migration of those who can leave. This is not Seattle today. But this downward spiral doesn't happen overnight, and it will be more than just a bad dream if we don't wake up to the challenges we confront and act.
The bad dream is here. Mark Sidran sees it, we all see it. The question is how and why, and what are we going to do about it? There is one block in downtown Seattle, one block that is symbolic of the failures of a city and its leaders. They are the failures of a philosophy that has gone wrong in spectacular and devastating ways. This is the block, the 500 block of 3rd Avenue. All around it is the core of power in Seattle, the decision-making, the money. But also here is the decay and the desperation. Along 3rd Avenue, that building on the right is DESC, the Downtown Emergency Services Center. It is principally funded by the city of Seattle and King County. In 2018, DESC received $33 million in public funding, $3 million from private donors. DESC operates emergency shelter beds, supportive housing, employment programs. Just down from the headquarters building is the Morrison. It's a shelter, also run by DESC. For the time being, there's hardly anybody staying at the Morrison. Because of COVID, they've been moved to various hotels. Even so, there's a guy walking around with a half-gallon of rich and rare Canadian whiskey selling straight shots on the street. Just down from the Morrison is a fountain, and at the fountain is a set of umbrellas. The Open for Business sign is out, and all morning long, customers line up, 3, 4 deep. There are deals happening all around the area. One cop told me the exchanging of drugs here, all kinds of drugs, is off the hook, rampant. No police come by, no one seems to care. Deal after deal goes down. Some customers take their purchases back home to the Morrison. Just up the way, in front of the Morrison, a woman, barefoot and incoherent, having just used whatever it was she bought somewhere, is having trouble remaining upright. Another woman helps her. It's not unlike